King Leopold II, the King of the Belgians, craved power and wealth. He felt confined by his small European kingdom. His eyes fell upon Africa, a continent largely unexplored by Europeans. Leopold was particularly interested in the Congo Basin. This vast region, with its dense rainforests and seemingly endless resources, promised immense riches. Leopold presented himself as a philanthropist, a benevolent ruler seeking to civilize Africa. He spoke of ending slavery and spreading Christianity. This facade, however, concealed his true intentions: to exploit the Congo for his personal gain. Through cunning diplomacy and ruthless maneuvering, he outwitted other European powers. At the Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885, Leopold secured international recognition for his claim to the Congo. The Congo Free State, as it was known, was anything but free. The Congo River, a lifeline for millions, snaked through the heart of the rainforest. Its banks teemed with life-diverse tribes, ancient cultures, and a rich tapestry of traditions. The Congolese people lived in harmony with their environment, their lives intertwined with the rhythms of the rainforest. The arrival of Leopold's agents marked the beginning of their nightmare. Armed with guns and fueled by greed, these men descended upon the Congo, their presence a harbinger of unimaginable suffering. They demanded absolute obedience and exploited the region's resources with ruthless efficiency. Ivory, rubber, and other valuable commodities were extracted with no regard for the environment or the well-being of the people. The Congolese, once living in relative peace, were now trapped in a system of forced labor and brutal oppression. The Congo Free State, under Leopold II's rule, quickly transformed into a vast labor camp. The lush rainforests, once teeming with life, echoed with the sounds of exploitation. Rubber, a highly sought-after commodity in Europe's burgeoning industrial age, became the engine of Leopold's greed. To fuel his insatiable appetite for profit, Leopold implemented a brutal system of forced labor. Congolese men, torn from their villages and families, were forced to work as virtual slaves, harvesting rubber under the watchful eyes of Leopold's agents. These agents, often motivated by a toxic mix of greed and racism, ruled through fear and intimidation. Failure to meet quotas resulted in swift and brutal punishments, instilling terror in the hearts of the natives. The vastness of the Congo Basin made it difficult to oversee the forced labor operation directly. Leopold's agents, scattered across the sprawling rainforest, were given free rein to implement the king's cruel policies with little oversight. Whippings, mutilations, and executions became commonplace occurrences, used to punish those who dared to defy the imposed quotas or resist the exploitation. Workers who failed to meet their quotas often had their hands chopped off, a gruesome testament to the brutality of Leopold's regime. Despite the veil of secrecy surrounding Leopold's operations in the Congo, whispers of the horrors being inflicted upon the Congolese people began to emerge. Missionaries traveling through the region witnessed firsthand the brutality of Leopold's regime. Appalled by the atrocities they encountered, these missionaries began to send letters and reports back to Europe, detailing the forced labor, the mutilations, and the killings. These accounts, often accompanied by photographs, painted a grim picture of the reality in the Congo Free State. As more and more accounts of the atrocities emerged, the truth about Leopold's reign of terror in the Congo became increasingly difficult to ignore. Dawn broke over the Congo Basin, casting an eerie glow on the rainforest floor. For the Congolese people, enslaved in their own land, each new day brought the same agonizing routine of forced labor and unspeakable cruelty. Men, separated from their wives and children, were marched into the depths of the rainforest by armed guards. Their task to collect as much rubber as humanly possible, their bare hands scraping the precious sap from the vines. The rubber quotas set by Leopold's agents were impossible to meet. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, their bodies weakened by exhaustion and despair. The slightest misstep, a moment of weakness, a whispered word of defiance could have deadly consequences. For those who dared to defy Leopold's regime, the price of disobedience was etched onto their very bodies. The agents, tasked with maintaining order and maximizing rubber production, resorted to unimaginable brutality to crush any sign of resistance. Whippings were commonplace, the flesh torn from their backs, leaving scars that served as a constant reminder of their subjugation. Hands, those essential tools for survival in the rainforest, were severed with machetes, the severed limbs often left on display as a gruesome warning to others. Each severed hand represented a missed quota, a tangible measure of the agent's ruthlessness and efficiency in carrying out Leopold's will. Terror, woven into the very fabric of Leopold's regime, became the most effective tool of oppression in the Congo Free State. Villages suspected of harboring dissenters or failing to meet their quotas were often targeted for collective punishment. Homes were burned to the ground, crops destroyed, and innocent men, women, and children were slaughtered, their bodies left to rot as a grim testament to the consequences of defiance. Families were torn apart, their social structures shattered, their traditions and beliefs trampled under the weight of oppression. Perhaps the most heartbreaking victims of Leopold's reign of terror were the children of the Congo. Innocent and vulnerable, they were not spared the horrors inflicted upon their parents and elders. Children were often taken from their families, forced to witness unspeakable acts of cruelty, their young minds scarred by the horrors they witnessed. Some were recruited as child soldiers, their innocence stolen, their hands forced to wield weapons of war. The plight of the children of the Congo stands as a stark reminder of the indiscriminate brutality of Leopold's regime. As the horrors of the Congo Free State unfolded under a shroud of secrecy, a small but determined group of individuals emerged, their voices rising above the silence to challenge the carefully constructed facade of Leopold's benevolent rule. Among these early voices of dissent were missionaries, who had witnessed firsthand the atrocities being committed against the Congolese people. Their letters, smuggled out of the Congo, painted a grim picture of the reality on the ground, contradicting the official narrative of progress and civilization peddled by Leopold and his supporters. One such individual was Edmund Dean Morel, a British shipping clerk who noticed discrepancies in cargo manifests related to the Congo. Morel's deduction was chilling. The Congo Free State was not a philanthropic endeavor, but a brutal system of exploitation built on forced labor and maintained through violence. Morel's tireless efforts, combined with the growing number of reports from missionaries and other eyewitnesses, began to chip away at the carefully crafted facade of Leopold's rule. The stories that emerged from the Congo were harrowing, each one a testament to the depths of human cruelty. There was the testimony of Joseph Conrad, a Polish-British novelist who had traveled through the Congo and witnessed the horrors firsthand. His novella, Heart of Darkness, published in 1899, offered a fictionalized but searing indictment of colonialism and its brutal consequences. Then there were the photographs smuggled out of the Congo at great risk, which provided irrefutable evidence of the atrocities. As the evidence of atrocities mounted, a wave of outrage swept across Europe and America. Humanitarian organizations led by individuals like Morel, Mark Twain, and Roger Casement mobilized public opinion against Leopold's regime. Public lectures, newspaper articles, and pamphlets exposed the horrors of the Congo Free State to a wider audience. The Congo Reform Association, founded by Morel in 1904, played a pivotal role in galvanizing international pressure on Leopold. Prominent figures such as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Booker T. Washington added their voices to the growing chorus of condemnation. The world was finally waking up to the horrors unfolding in the heart of Africa, and the demand for justice for the Congolese people grew stronger by the day. The relentless campaign waged by activists and humanitarians eventually yielded results. In 1908, after years of denial and obfuscation, Leopold II was forced to relinquish his personal control over the Congo Free State. The Belgian government, under intense international pressure, annexed the territory, bringing an end to Leopold's reign of terror. While Leopold himself was never held legally accountable for his crimes, the global outcry against his actions in the Congo marked a turning point in the fight against colonial exploitation. The legacy of Leopold's reign of terror in the Congo serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of human rights and the importance of vigilance in the face of oppression. The tide turned against Leopold II, not on a battlefield, but in the hearts and minds of people across the world. It was a battle fought with words and images, exposing the hidden horrors of the Congo. Journalists, missionaries, and activists, armed with nothing more than pens and cameras, became unlikely heroes in the fight against Leopold's tyranny. Edmund Dean Morel, the British shipping clerk turned activist, proved to be a thorn in Leopold's side. He meticulously documented the flow of goods in and out of the Congo, exposing the one-sided trade that enriched Leopold while decimating the Congo. The graphic testimonies of missionaries and Congolese refugees, coupled with photographs of unimaginable brutality, shocked the conscience of the world. Public opinion, once indifferent or ill-informed, swung decisively against Leopold. The mounting international pressure, fueled by the tireless work of activists and the growing public outcry, forced the Belgian government's hand. Leopold II, clinging desperately to his personal colony, could no longer ignore the chorus of condemnation. In 1908, after years of denial and attempts to downplay the atrocities, Leopold was forced to relinquish his personal control over the Congo Free State. The Belgian parliament, under intense international scrutiny, voted to annex the territory, bringing an end to Leopold's reign of terror. The transfer of power from a single man's greedy grasp to a colonial administration, while a significant victory, did not erase the scars of the past. The Congo, its people decimated, its resources plundered, faced a long and arduous journey towards healing and self-determination. The Belgian Congo, as it became known, inherited a legacy of exploitation and brutality. While the worst excesses of Leopold's regime were curbed, the colonial system remained, perpetuating many of the injustices that had fueled the international outcry. Despite the horrors they had endured, the people of the Congo demonstrated remarkable resilience and a deep-rooted desire for self-determination. The fight for true independence, however, would continue for decades, as the Congolese people navigated the treacherous waters of Cold War politics and the lingering legacy of colonialism. The transition to Belgian rule brought about some improvements in infrastructure and education. However, the Congolese people remained largely excluded from positions of power, their voices marginalized in the decisions that shaped their lives. The seeds of resistance, sown during the dark days of Leopold's rule, continued to grow. Congolese leaders, inspired by the Pan-African movement and the wave of decolonization sweeping across the continent, began to demand greater autonomy and an end to Belgian rule. The fight for independence would be long and arduous, marked by both triumphs and setbacks. The Congo's journey, however, stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of its people, their determination to overcome the horrors of the past and forge a brighter future for generations to come. King Leopold II's reign of terror in the Congo Free State was a stark illustration of the darkest impulses of humanity. Driven by insatiable greed, Leopold unleashed unimaginable cruelty upon the Congolese people. The world, initially captivated by Leopold's facade of philanthropy, eventually bore witness to the horrors he had wrought. The images of mutilated bodies and stories of unspeakable brutality shattered the illusion of benevolent colonialism. The Congo Free State became a byword for colonial barbarity, a stark reminder of human cruelty unchecked by morality. The global outcry forced Leopold to relinquish control, marking a turning point in the fight against colonial exploitation. The echoes of Leopold II's reign of terror continue to reverberate through the Democratic Republic of Congo. The wounds inflicted during those dark decades have yet to fully heal. The DRC, despite its vast natural resources, remains mired in poverty and instability. The ghosts of Leopold's agents still haunt the corridors of power. The fight for true independence continues. The Congolese people strive to rebuild their nation. The story of King Leopold II's reign of terror in the Congo Free State is not merely a historical footnote, but a stark reminder of the fragility of human rights. Remembering the atrocities committed in the Congo is about learning from the past. It is about honoring the memory of the millions who suffered and perished. Each generation bears a responsibility to confront the uncomfortable truths of history. By choosing compassion over indifference, we can strive to create a future where such horrors are never repeated.